They laughed when the wolves circled me. They stopped laughing when all three kings knelt. But let me back up just not too far because honestly, I'm still trying to figure out how the hell I ended up here, standing in the center of the royal pack's ceremonial ground, with half the council staring at me like I'm either a miracle or a mistake. Spoiler alert, most of them are betting on mistake. My name's Eli Morgan, and up until about 20 minutes ago, I was the pack joke. You know, the type skinny omega who talks to squirrels, gets dirt under his nails from sitting in forests instead of, I don't know, doing normal omega things like baking bread or looking pretty at gatherings. Massachusetts pack life is all about tradition, hierarchy, and keeping your head down if you're born at the bottom. Guess which category I fell into? I'm standing here now because of what happened this morning, and I still can't decide if I'm blessed or completely screwed. The Triplet Alpha Kings. Yeah, we've got three of them, because apparently one all-powerful alpha wasn't enough, for the Northern Territories came to Ashwood Falls for the first time in 5 years. Their visit was supposed to be routine, inspect the provincial packs, accept some tribute, maybe choose a few warriors for their personal guard. Nobody said anything about the choosing. The choosing is this ancient ritual where the king's wolves, not the kings themselves, but their wolves select a mate. It's supposed to be instinct, something primal and unchallengeable. The council had every eligible omega lined up like prizes at a county fair, all of them scrubbed and scented and trying not to shake in their designer shoes. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was in the woods behind the ceremonial grounds, crouched next to an injured fox I'd found that morning. She had her paw caught in some old barbed wire, and she was whimpering in this heartbreaking way that made my chest hurt. "Hey, it's okay. I've got you." That's when I heard it, her voice. Not in words exactly, but in feelings and images that bloomed in my head like Polaroids developing. Pain, fear, trust, hesitant and fragile. I've been able to do this since I was 7, hear animals in a way that isn't quite hearing. My mom said it was a gift before she died. Everyone else said it was proof I was broken. The fox's leg was bleeding, metal teeth buried deep in fur and skin. My hands moved careful and quick, the way they always do when I'm working with animals, like some other part of me takes over, calm and certain. Just breathe. I'm going to get you out. I didn't hear the footsteps behind me until a shadow fell across the fox's russet fur. "What do you think you're doing?" I jerked my head up. Marcus Chen stood there, one of the council's favorite betas, his expression caught somewhere between disgust and disbelief. He's always hated me, ever since we were kids and I told him his prize hunting dog was miserable, locked in that kennel all day. Turns out people don't like it when you give voice to the things they're ignoring. "Helping," I said, turning back to the fox. My fingers worked the wire loose, slow and steady. Almost there. "The choosing is starting. You're making us look bad, rolling around in the dirt like some what?" I didn't look at him. The wire came free with a soft ping, and the fox's relief hit me like a warm wave. "Go on. Say it." "Freak." He spat the word. "The kings are here, and you're talking to vermin." The fox's eyes met mine, amber and ancient, and so much smarter than Marcus would ever be. "You're okay now. Get somewhere safe." She limped away into the underbrush, and I stood, wiping blood on my jeans. Marcus grabbed my arm, hard enough to bruise. "You're coming with me. The council wants every omega present, even useless ones." I could have fought, should have, maybe. But there's this thing I learned early. Sometimes you save your battles for moments that matter. So I let him drag me toward the ceremonial grounds, my heart doing this uncomfortable stutter step thing in my chest. The grounds were packed. Hundreds of pack members formed a wide circle around a raised stone platform where 3 figures stood. And even from a distance, I felt the weight of their presence, like atmospheric pressure before a storm. The Triplet Alpha Kings, Ashton, Damon, and River Wolfe. Holy hell. I'd seen pictures, obviously. Everyone had. But pictures don't capture the way power rolls off them in waves, or how they stand like they're carved from different kinds of stone. Ashton all sharp angles in controlled violence. Damon with that predatory stillness. River softer somehow, but no less dangerous. They're identical in bone structure, but completely different in energy. And they were all staring at the line of omegas like judges at an execution. Marcus shoved me toward the back of the Omega group, and I stumbled, catching myself on some guy's shoulder. He shook me off like I was contagious. "Don't touch me. You smell like wet dog." I bit back about 14 different responses and focused on staying upright. The head council member, an ancient alpha named Gerald with breath like old coffee, was giving some pompous speech about honor and tradition. I stopped listening. I'm good at that, making myself small and invisible. It's a survival skill when you're different. Then the kings descended from the platform, and the crowd went silent. Their wolves, massive, otherworldly creatures that seemed too big for reality, prowled beside them. Ashton's wolf was midnight black with eyes like frozen mercury. Damon's was dark gray, scarred across the muzzle. River's was lighter, silver white, with an unsettling intelligence in its gaze. The wolves began moving down the line of omegas, scenting, assessing. One by one they passed, and one by one the omegas dropped their eyes in submission or disappointment. This was just a formality. Everyone knew they'd choose someone important, someone beautiful and connected, someone who fit. I was trying to calculate how quickly I could slip away when all three wolves stopped moving. Their heads turned in perfect unison. Toward me. The crowd's murmur died like someone cut the sound. I froze, every muscle in my body locking up as three pairs of wolf eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. No, this couldn't. The wolves moved, not toward the Omega next to me, not toward anyone else. They crossed the distance between us in heartbeats, and suddenly I was surrounded by fur and heat and the overwhelming scent of pine and winter storms and something darker, wilder. Ashton's wolf pressed its nose to my throat. Damon's circled behind me, so close I felt its breath on my neck. River's wolf sat directly in front of me, head tilted, studying me like I was a puzzle it intended to solve. Not my finest moment, verbally speaking. The wolves began to, I don't even know how to describe it, crooning? This low, rumbling sound that vibrated through my bones and made something in my chest respond, something I didn't have words for. This isn't happening. This isn't impossible. Gerald's voice cracked across the silence. There must be some mistake. Ashton Wolfe spoke for the first time, his voice like gravel and dark honey. Are you suggesting our wolves are mistaken, Councilman? I couldn't see his face, trapped as I was in a circle of massive predators, but I heard the danger threaded through every syllable. No, of course not, Your Majesty. But this Omega he's nobody. He has no standing, no proper training. He's ours. Damon said it. Simple. Final. The kind of word that doesn't leave room for debate. The wolves pressed closer, and I felt something click into place inside me, like a lock I didn't know existed finally opening. It should have been terrifying. It was terrifying. But underneath the fear was this strange, fierce recognition. Oh. River moved then, stepping through his wolf to stand directly in front of me. Up close, he was devastating, gray eyes soft but unyielding, dark hair falling across his forehead, a small scar bisecting his left eyebrow. He reached out slowly, giving me time to flinch away. I didn't. His fingers brushed my jaw, tilting my face up, and his eyes widened slightly. You can hear them, can't you? The wolves. It wasn't really a question, but I answered anyway. Yes. The crowd exploded, shouting, accusations, someone screaming about laws and propriety. I caught fragments. Not suitable. Embarrassment. Reject the choosing. But it all faded to white noise because Ashton and Damon had joined River, and I was surrounded by 3 Alpha Kings who smelled like home and danger in equal measure. Ashton looked at the council. We'll be taking our mate back to the capital. Immediately. You can't just... Marcus, because of course it was Marcus, pushed forward. He's defective. Everyone knows it. He talks to animals like he's insane. Damon's smile was a weapon. How convenient. So do our wolves. Did I mention I might be completely screwed? River's hand was still on my face, his thumb brushing my cheekbone in a gesture so gentle it made my throat tight. What's your name? Eli. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Eli Morgan. Eli. He said it like he was tasting it, learning its shape. Are you afraid of us? I should have said yes, should have been smart and careful. Honestly, I'm more afraid of them. I nodded toward the council, toward Marcus, toward everyone who'd spent years making sure I knew exactly how little I mattered. Something shifted in River's expression, approval, maybe, or recognition. Good answer. Ashton moved behind me, and I felt his presence like heat against my spine. Pack your things. We leave within the hour. I don't have things. Not really. The 3 of them went very still, and I wondered what I'd said wrong. Then Damon laughed, low and dangerous. Even better, nothing tying you here. He wasn't wrong. I had no family, no friends, nothing but a tiny room in the pack house and a collection of river stones I'd gathered over the years. Everything I cared about could fit in my pockets. Okay. Okay? Ashton's voice was closer now, almost at my ear. Just like that? I turned to face him. Bad idea. Because up close he was terrifying and beautiful in equal measure. All dark eyes and sharp jaw, and the kind of intensity that made you want to either run or get closer. You want me to fight the choosing? Pretty sure that's illegal. Also, in case you missed it, I'm not exactly beloved here. So yeah, okay. His eyes narrowed, searching my face for something. I held his gaze, refusing to look away even though every instinct screamed, submission. I've never been good at doing what I'm supposed to. Your Majesties, please reconsider. Gerald was still talking, still trying to undo this, but Ashton cut him off with a single raised hand. The choosing is sacred law. Are you suggesting the Northern Council no longer honors sacred law? Silence, the kind that rings in your ears. River's hand slid from my face to my wrist, his fingers circling the bone there. Come on, let's get you out of here. They moved as a unit, creating a protective wall around me as we walked toward the black SUVs waiting at the edge of the grounds. The wolves followed, still making that low crooning sound, and I realized with a start that I could almost understand them. Not words, but feelings, satisfaction, possession. Mine. No ours. I glanced back once. The whole pack was watching, faces ranging from shock to fury to something that might have been envy. Marcus looked like he'd swallowed glass. Guess I wasn't so forgettable after all. We reached the SUVs and Damon opened the back door, gesturing me inside. I hesitated on the threshold, reality finally catching up. I was leaving. With 3 Alpha Kings I didn't know, heading toward a life I couldn't begin to imagine. Eli, River's voice soft and certain. It's okay to be scared. I'm not scared. I'm terrified. There's a difference. Ashton's hand landed on my lower back, warm and steady. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. I climbed into the SUV and they followed, bracketing me on either side while Damon took the front passenger seat. The wolves impossibly shifted into something smaller, curling into the cargo space like this was completely normal. Nothing about this was normal. The engine started, and we pulled away from Ashwood Falls, from everything I'd ever known. I watched the trees blur past the window, my heart doing that uncomfortable stutter step thing again. River's hand found mine in the space between us, his fingers threading through mine. "You're shaking." "Yeah, well, it's been a weird morning." Damon turned to look at me over the seat, his dark eyes unreadable. "It's about to get weirder." Great, that's exactly what I needed to hear. But I didn't pull my hand away from Rivers. And when Ashton's arm settled across the back of the seat behind me, I didn't flinch. Because terrified or not, confused or not, completely out of my depth or not, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel alone. The SUV carried us toward the Capitol, toward whatever came next, and I held on to that feeling like a lifeline. Even if I had no idea what I'd just gotten myself into. The silence in the SUV stretched like taffy, sticky and uncomfortable. I kept my eyes on the window, watching Massachusetts roll past in shades of gray and green, trying to process what the hell just happened while 3 literal Alpha Kings sat close enough that I could smell them. And God, they smelled good. Too good. Like my brain was trying to convince me this was fine, totally normal, nothing to panic about. Spoiler, I was panicking. "You're holding your breath." River's thumb traced circles on the back of my hand, and I realized he was right. I exhaled slowly, trying not to make it obvious. "Just thinking." "About?" Damon twisted further in his seat, studying me with an intensity that made my skin feel too tight. "About how I went from fox rescue to royal kidnapping in under an hour." "It's a lot." Ashton made a sound that might have been amusement. His arm was still draped behind me, not quite touching, but close enough that I felt the heat of him. "Kidnapping implies unwillingness. You said okay." "I say okay to a lot of things I don't fully understand." I finally looked at him, meeting those dark eyes that seemed to see straight through me. "Doesn't mean I'm not allowed to freak out a little." "Fair." His lips quirked, almost a smile. "Freak out. We'll wait." "How generous of you." River laughed, the sound warm and unexpected. "He's got bite. I like that." "Everyone likes me until they actually know me." The words came out more bitter than I intended, and I watched Damon's expression shift, something calculating moving behind his eyes. "Why would knowing you change anything?" I pulled my hand from Rivers, immediately missing the contact but needing the space. "Because I'm weird. We've established this. The whole talking to animals thing? That's not even the strangest part of me." "Good." Ashton's voice dropped lower, intimate. "Strange is interesting. Perfect is boring." "You say that now. Wait until you realize what you actually chose." The SUV slowed, and I glanced out to see we'd pulled into a rest stop. Small, quiet, just a few cars scattered across the parking lot. The driver, a beta I hadn't really looked at before, spoke for the first time. "Fuel stop, Your Majesties. 20 minutes. Damon nodded, then looked at me. "You need anything? Food? Bathroom? Escape attempt?" "You say that like you're joking, but I'm genuinely considering option 3. "Noted." He opened his door, unfolding from the front seat with predatory grace. "Come on, let's stretch our legs." I didn't move. River tilted his head, gray eyes gentle. "We're not going to hurt you, Eli." I know. And weirdly, I did. Whatever this was, whatever insane situation I'd landed in, my gut said they weren't dangerous. Not to me, anyway. That's not what scares me. Then what does? Ashton's hand settled on my shoulder, warm and grounding. I met his eyes. That I might actually want this. The confession hung between us, raw and honest, and I saw something flash across all 3 of their faces. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. River cleared his throat. "Bathroom, now, before I do something incredibly inappropriate in a parked car." That's not helping the panic. But I let them guide me out of the SUV, their wolves trailing behind like massive, impossibly calm shadows. The rest stop was nearly empty, just a tired-looking truck driver filling up diesel and a family with 2 kids arguing over snacks. Normal people doing normal things. Meanwhile, I was walking into a bathroom with 3 Alpha Kings like this was just another Tuesday. The bathroom was standard rest stop fare, fluorescent lights, questionable tile, that weird soap smell that's supposed to be fresh mountain, but mostly smells like chemicals. I locked myself in a stall and pressed my forehead against the cool metal door. Okay, you're fine. This is fine. You're just bonded to 3 royal alphas you met an hour ago, and your entire life just imploded, but it's fine. Talking to yourself? River's voice drifted over the stall divider, amused. It's better conversation than most people provide. I heard Ashton snort from somewhere near the sinks. He's not wrong. I finished, washed my hands, and found all 3 of them leaning against the bathroom counter like some kind of bizarre alpha convention. Damon had his arms crossed, watching me with that unsettling focus. River looked relaxed, almost casual. Ashton was texting someone, but his attention still tracked my every movement. So, I dried my hands on my jeans because the airdryer looked broken. Are we going to talk about the elephant in the bathroom? Which elephant? Damon asked. There are several. The fact that your wolves chose someone you don't know. Someone with no connections, no training, no anything that would make me suitable for whatever this is supposed to be. I'm not stupid. I know how this works. Royal mates are political assets. I'm not that. River pushed off the counter, closing the distance between us. He stopped just inside my personal space, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. You're right. You're not a political asset. Thanks for agreeing I'm useless. I didn't say useless. His hand came up, fingers brushing my temple, and I felt that click again, that sense of rightness that terrified me. I said you're not political. You're something else entirely. Which is? My voice came out breathier than I wanted. Ashton's phone disappeared into his pocket. Necessary. The word landed like a stone in still water, sending ripples through everything. I stepped back, needing distance, needing to think. You don't even know me. Not yet. Damon moved then, circling around until I was bracketed by all 3 of them. Not threatening, but definitely intentional. But our wolves do, and they've never been wrong. There's a first time for everything. What if they made a mistake? They didn't. River's certainty was absolute. Can I tell you what I saw when I looked at you back there? Do I have a choice? Always. He waited until I nodded, then continued. I saw someone who'd rather rescue a wounded animal than secure political favor. Someone who stood in front of a council that despised him and didn't apologize for existing. Someone brave enough to say yes when everything in his life just changed. That's not a mistake, Eli. That's fate. I don't believe in fate. You don't have to. Ashton's voice came from behind me, and I felt his presence like heat against my spine. Believe in choice. You chose to come with us. Because the alternative was staying with people who hate me. Also a choice. His breath ghosted across my ear, and I shivered. You could have run, hidden, refused the choosing and dealt with the consequences. But you didn't. I turned to face him, which put me almost chest to chest with River. Trapped between them, surrounded by their scent and warmth and overwhelming presence. My heart was doing that thing again, that uncomfortable rhythm that felt too fast and too slow at once. So what happens now? You take me to the Capitol, parade me around as the Omega the Wolves inexplicably chose, and everyone whispers about how wrong this is? Probably. Damon's honesty was almost refreshing. Does that bother you? I've been the subject of whispers my whole life. At least these ones come with better real estate. River laughed, full and genuine, and the sound did something warm to my chest. See? Bite. It's a defense mechanism. I ducked under his arm, needing space before I did something stupid like lean into them. I'm not good at this. The whole omega thing. I don't know how to be soft and accommodating. Good. Ashton followed my movement, predatory and patient. We have enough soft and accommodating people. We need real. Real is messy. We can handle messy. Damon's smile was sharp. Question is, can you handle us? I looked at each of them in turn. Ashton with his controlled intensity, Damon with his dangerous stillness, River with his deceptive gentleness. 3 Alpha Kings who just upended my entire existence, and I had no idea what they actually wanted from me. I guess we'll find out. 20 minutes is up. The driver's voice crackled through Ashton's phone. We should move. River extended his hand. Ready? I stared at his palm, at the choice he was offering. I could take it, lean into this insane situation, or I could pull back, keep my walls up, protect myself from whatever chaos was coming. I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine, warm and certain, and we walked back to the SUV together. The wolves were already loaded, watching me with those 2 intelligent eyes. I climbed back into my spot between River and Ashton, and this time when River's hand found mine again, I didn't pull away. Damon glanced back as the engine started. 3 hours to the capital. Sleep if you want. I'm too wired to sleep. Tell me something. Like what? Ashton's arm settled behind me again, and I was starting to recognize it as his thing, that casual claim of space. Anything. I know nothing about you except your names and the fact that your wolves have questionable taste. River squeezed my hand. Our wolves have excellent taste. You just don't see it yet. Modest. But I was smiling, just a little. Come on, tell me something real. What's it like being a Triplet Alpha King? Is it as weird as it sounds? They exchanged glances, some silent communication passing between them. Then Damon spoke. It's lonely. Not what I expected. I waited, and after a moment he continued. Everyone wants something from us. Power, favor, access. No one just wants us. His dark eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Until today, I don't want anything from you. Exactly. River's thumb traced patterns on my wrist. That's why you're here. The SUV carried us forward toward the capital, toward whatever came next. And for the first time since this insanity started, I felt something other than terror. I felt possibility. Possibility felt dangerous, like something fragile I could drop and shatter if I held it too tight. I watched the trees blur past, River's fingers still laced through mine, and tried to ignore the way my chest kept doing this weird flutter thing every time one of them shifted closer. This was a terrible idea. All of it. You're thinking too loud. Ashton's voice rumbled near my ear, and I realized I'd tensed up again. I can practically hear your brain spinning. Good. At least one of us is thinking. I turned my head to look at him, which was a mistake because he was right there, close enough that I could see the small scar cutting through his left eyebrow. You really just accepted this? Your wolves picked some random omega, and you're all just okay with it? Nothing random about it. His dark eyes held mine, unwavering. And no, we're not just okay with it. We're relieved. Relieved, right, because I'm such a catch. Damon's laugh from the front seat was dry. You have no idea how many omegas have thrown themselves at us over the years. Beautiful, connected, perfectly trained. He glanced back. Every single one of them felt like a performance, like they'd studied what we wanted and were auditioning for the role. And I'm different because I didn't study? Hate to break it to you, but that's not a selling point. That's called being unprepared. That's called being genuine. River's thumb pressed against my pulse point, and I wondered if he could feel how fast my heart was racing. You didn't even want to be there today. No, I was rescuing a fox. You know, normal omega activities. I tried for sarcasm, but it came out softer than intended. Sorry I didn't get the memo about proper choosing etiquette. Ashton's hand settled on my knee, warm and grounding. Stop apologizing for being yourself. I wasn't apologizing, I was being sarcastic. There's a difference. Is there? His fingers squeezed gently. Because you've apologized 3 times since we left Ashwood Falls. For being weird, for freaking out, for not knowing things. Maybe I have a lot to apologize for. Or maybe you've been taught to make yourself smaller. River's voice was quiet, but it cut through something in my chest. Told that being different is wrong. I pulled my hand from his, suddenly too raw, too exposed. Can we not do the deep psychological analysis right now? I've hit my emotional quota for the day. Fair. He didn't try to take my hand back, but he stayed close. What do you want to talk about? Literally anything else. Tell me about the capital. Is it nice? Terrible? Full of people who will hate me on sight? Yes. Damon's answer was immediate. I blinked. Yes, to which part? All of them. He twisted in his seat to face me fully. It's beautiful and terrible, and yes, there will be people who hate you. Probably most of the court. You're really selling this. I'm being honest. His dark eyes held something that might have been respect. You said you wanted real. That's real. The court is full of politics and power plays, and people who'll see you as either a threat or an opportunity. Great, can't wait. I slumped back against the seat, exhaustion hitting me like a wave. This is going to be a disaster. Probably. Ashton's hand was still on my knee, steady and warm. But you're not facing it alone. I've always faced things alone. The words slipped out before I could stop them, vulnerable and true. It's kind of my specialty. River made a soft sound, almost pained. Not anymore. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe all of them. But belief required trust, and trust required knowing someone wouldn't leave when things got hard. And I learned early that everyone left eventually. Why does this feel like a trap? Because you're smart. Damon's bluntness was almost comforting. It does look like a trap. 3 powerful alphas, an omega with no connections, a choosing that came out of nowhere. If I were you, I'd be suspicious too. So help me understand. I leaned forward, needing to see all their faces. What do you actually want from me? And don't say nothing, because nobody gives without expecting something back. They exchanged another one of those silent conversations, and I fought the urge to snap at them for it. Then Ashton spoke, his voice careful. We want a mate who sees us as people, not titles. Someone who'll call us on our bullshit and won't fall apart when things get complicated. We want someone real. That's you. You don't know that. You don't know me. Then let us. River's gray eyes were steady, open. Let us know you. The SUV hit a pothole, jostling us, and I used the movement as an excuse to look away. Out the window, the landscape was changing. Less trees, more buildings. Signs for Boston started appearing, traffic getting heavier. We're getting close, aren't we? About an hour out, Ashton's hand moved from my knee to the back of my neck, fingers gentle against my skin. You can still back out. We'd arrange transport back to Ashwood Falls, make sure the council doesn't retaliate. I turned to stare at him. You're giving me an out? Now? Always. His expression was serious. This only works if you choose it. Freely. The choosing already happened. Your wolves already picked me. And you're not property. Damon's voice was hard. You're a person who deserves agency. So choose. Come with us to the capital or go back. We'll respect either decision. Why? Because anything else would make us no better than the people who made you feel small. River's hand found mine again, and this time I didn't pull away. You deserve better than that. Something cracked in my chest. Some wall I'd been holding up for so long I forgot it was there. These alphas I barely knew were offering me something nobody ever had. Real choice. Not manipulation disguised as options, but actual freedom to decide my own path. If I go back, what happens to you? To the choosing. Ashton's fingers tightened slightly on my neck. We deal with it, find another way forward. That's not an answer. It's the only one we have. His dark eyes held mine. But it's not your problem to solve. You don't owe us anything, Eli. I thought about Ashwood Falls, about the tiny room in the pack house that never felt like home, about Marcus and Gerald and everyone who'd made sure I knew exactly where I stood in their hierarchy, about the fox I'd saved this morning, the way she'd trusted me even though I was a stranger. The fox came back. River tilted his head. What? This morning, before everything, the fox I rescued. She came back to me after I freed her when she could have just run. She chose to trust me even though she had no reason to. And? Damon's voice was gentle, patient. And maybe I should be at least as brave as a wounded fox. I squeezed River's hand. I'm not going back. The relief that washed over all three of them was palpable, a shift in the air that made something in my chest ease. Ashton's forehead dropped to my shoulder, just for a moment, and I felt his breath against my neck. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, but I was smiling just a little. I'm probably going to be terrible at this whole mate thing. Good thing there's three of us. River's thumb traced my knuckles. We can handle terrible. Confident. I looked at each of them, these alpha kings who'd crashed into my life and turned everything sideways. Okay, so what happens when we get there? Is there like a ceremony? Do I have to meet people? Pretend to know what I'm doing? First, you rest. Ashton lifted his head, his expression softer than I'd seen it. Then we introduce you to the household staff, get you settled. The formal presentation to court can wait. How long? As long as you need. Damon's smile was sharp. Let them wait. Let them wonder. It'll drive them crazy. You're enjoying this. Immensely. His dark eyes glittered with something predatory. The court has been pushing us to choose for years. Now we have, and it's not what any of them expected. I'm going to savor every moment of their confusion. You're kind of terrifying, you know that? I know. He looked pleased about it. You'll get used to it. The city was rising around us now, tall buildings replacing trees, the smell of exhaust and humanity replacing forest air. My stomach did a nervous flip. This is really happening. Yeah, River's hand tightened around mine. It really is. And you're sure about this? About me? Ashton's hand cupped my face, turning me to look at him. His expression was intense, absolutely certain. Our wolves chose you. Our instincts want you. And the more time I spend with you, the more I understand why. You're exactly what we need, Eli, even if you don't see it yet. I'm going to disappoint you. Impossible. River leaned in, his breath ghosting across my cheek. You're already perfect. I'm really not. Perfect for us, then. His lips brushed my temple, gentle and devastating. That's all that matters. The SUV took an exit, following signs toward the Capital District, and my heart started that uncomfortable rhythm again. But this time, surrounded by three alphas who smelled like home and safety and something I didn't have words for, the fear felt manageable. Almost like possibility. Almost like possibility, right until the gates came into view. Holy hell. The royal estate wasn't a house. It was a fortress disguised as a palace, all stone and glass and architecture that screamed power and old money. Massive iron gates swung open as we approached, and I pressed closer to the window, trying to take it all in. Manicured lawns stretched for what looked like miles, dotted with gardens and fountains and things that probably had fancy names I didn't know. That's where I'm supposed to live? My voice came out smaller than I intended. That's where you do live. River's correction was gentle. As of about 3 hours ago, the SUV rolled up a circular driveway, coming to a stop in front of marble steps that led to doors I could have driven a truck through. My stomach twisted itself into complicated knots. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Ashton's hand found the back of my neck again, grounding. Breathe. I am breathing, it's just not helping. I stared at those massive doors, at the life waiting behind them. What if I break something? What if I say the wrong thing? What if everyone takes one look at me and realizes this was a huge mistake? Then they'll deal with it. Damon opened his door, cool air rushing in. Because you're ours now, and anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with us. That's not comforting, that's terrifying in a different way. But the door was open, and River was sliding out, extending his hand back to me. I took it because the alternative was sitting in the SUV forever, and eventually that would get awkward. The late afternoon sun hit my face as I stepped out, warm and bright, and I had maybe 3 seconds to appreciate it before I noticed the line of people waiting at the top of the stairs. Staff, I assumed, all of them watching me with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed shock. There are so many of them. 23 household staff. Ashton appeared at my other side, he and River bracketing me like protective walls. You don't have to remember all their names today. Good, because I'm terrible with names. I forced my feet to move, climbing the stairs between them. I once called my guidance counselor Mom for an entire semester. It was traumatic for everyone involved. River's laugh was quiet but genuine. That's actually impressive. It was mortifying. She started leaving cookies on her desk for me. They were good cookies, though. Oatmeal raisin. We reached the top of the stairs, and the staff arranged themselves in a neat line. An older woman stepped forward, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun, her expression unreadable. She looked like she could kill someone with just her disapproval. Great, off to a fantastic start. Your Majesties. She inclined her head respectfully to the triplets, then her sharp blue eyes landed on me. And this must be the Omega. Eli. My voice came out steadier than I felt. My name is Eli Morgan. Something flickered in her expression. Surprise, maybe. Eli, then. I'm Margaret, head of household. Welcome to Wolf Haven Estate. Thanks. I had no idea what else to say. It's very nice, big, really big. Smooth, Eli, real smooth. Margaret's lips twitched, almost a smile. Indeed it is. Would you like a tour, or would you prefer to rest first? I imagine it's been an eventful day. Eventful is one word for it. I glanced at the triplets. What's the protocol here? Do I get a vote? You always get a vote. Damon's voice was firm. What do you want? What I wanted was to hide in a corner and process the fact that my entire life had changed in the span of a few hours. What I said was, tour, might as well know where I'm supposed to be. Margaret nodded approvingly. Practical, I like that. Come along then. She turned and walked through those massive doors, and I followed because apparently that's what I was doing now. Just following people into increasingly intimidating situations and hoping for the best. The entrance hall was obscene, marble floors polished to a mirror shine, a chandelier overhead that probably cost more than my entire pack house, artwork on the walls that looked old and important. Everything screamed wealth and power, and don't touch anything. I'm going to break something. Probably. Ashton's hand pressed against my lower back, warm and steady. Most of it's insured. That's not reassuring. Margaret led us through room after room, rattling off names and purposes I immediately forgot. Drawing room, sitting room, formal dining room, informal dining room, because apparently one dining room wasn't enough. Library that looked like something out of a movie, with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and those sliding ladders. My fingers itched to touch the spines, to see what kind of books Alpha Kings read. "Do you like to read?" River's voice was soft near my ear, and I realized I'd stopped walking, staring at the shelves. "Yeah, when I can. Used to hide in the packed library when things got bad. Books don't judge you." His hand found mine, squeezing gently. "You can spend as much time here as you want. It's yours now, too." The casual way he said that, like it was simple fact rather than earth-shattering statement, made my throat tight. I nodded, not trusting my voice, and let Margaret pull us back into motion. The tour continued up a sweeping staircase to the second floor. More rooms, more wealth, more evidence that I was so far out of my depth I couldn't even see the surface anymore. Then Margaret stopped in front of a set of double doors, her expression softening slightly. "The royal suite. This is where their majesties reside." She looked at me. "And where you'll be staying. With them?" "That's generally how mating bonds work, yes." Damon's dry tone made me turn to glare at him. "I know how they work. I'm just processing." I looked back at the doors. "So we're all just going to share a room? Like roommates?" "Like mates," Ashton corrected. "But we can set up a separate space for you if you'd prefer. No pressure." I thought about my tiny room back in Ashwood Falls, about the years I'd spent alone, about how quiet it got sometimes, how the silence felt heavy enough to suffocate. Then I thought about the SUV ride here, about River's hand in mine and Ashton's steady presence, and Damon's unexpected honesty. No separate space. Not yet. Anyway, the relief on their faces was almost comical. Margaret made a satisfied sound and pushed open the doors. The suite was massive. Living area with couches and a fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the grounds, doors leading to what I assumed were bedroom and bathroom. Everything was decorated in shades of gray and navy, masculine and comfortable without being cold. "Your belongings will be brought up shortly." Margaret paused. "Or rather, what little you brought with you. I travel light." "So I see." She didn't sound judgmental, just observant. "I'll have some essentials sent up. Clothes, toiletries, that sort of thing. We can arrange for a proper wardrobe later." "I don't need a proper wardrobe. I'm fine with jeans and t-shirts." "You're the mate of 3 Alpha Kings." Her blue eyes pinned me. "You'll need more than jeans and t-shirts, whether you like it or not." I opened my mouth to argue, but River's hand on my shoulder stopped me. "She's right. Court functions require certain attire, but nothing you're uncomfortable with, I promise." Court functions. Right, because that's my life now. "Only if you want it to be." Ashton moved past me into the suite, loosening his tie with one hand. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, Eli, including attending functions full of people who make you miserable." "But it would help." I watched him shrug off his jacket, trying not to notice the way his shirt pulled across his shoulders. "If I showed up, played the part, made it look like you didn't make a terrible choice." "We didn't make a terrible choice." Damon's voice was hard. "And anyone who suggests otherwise will answer to us." Margaret cleared her throat delicately. "Dinner is at 7. I'll have something sent up to tide you over until then." She looked at me again, her expression almost kind. "Breathe, Eli. You're allowed to be overwhelmed." She left before I could respond, the door clicking shut behind her. I stood in the middle of this impossible suite, surrounded by 3 Alpha Kings, and felt the weight of everything crash down at once. I don't belong here. Neither did we at first. River's arms came around me from behind, gentle and grounding. "It takes time." I don't have time. Everyone's going to expect me to just know how to be this person, and I don't. My voice cracked. I don't know how to be anyone's mate, let alone 3 someones who happen to be royalty. "Then learn." Ashton was in front of me now, his dark eyes intense. "We'll teach you. Margaret will help. You're not alone in this. I've always been alone. It's safer that way. Safer, maybe. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone, but lonelier. I couldn't argue with that, didn't want to suddenly. River's arms were warm around me, Ashton's touch gentle, and somewhere to my right I heard Damon moving closer. Surrounded, protected, claimed. This is insane, but I wasn't pulling away. All of it. Completely insane. River's breath ghosted across my neck. But maybe that's okay. Maybe. I closed my eyes, letting myself lean back against him. Or maybe we're all just delusional, and this is going to blow up spectacularly. Could be both. Damon's voice was closer now. Either way, we're in it together. Together. The word tasted foreign on my tongue. New, but not entirely unwelcome. Not entirely unwelcome, which was probably the scariest thing I'd admitted all day. I opened my eyes, finding Damon directly in front of me now, his expression unreadable but his body language open. Waiting. You're all staring at me. You're worth staring at. His lips curved, almost a smile. Especially when you look like you're about to bolt. I'm not going to bolt. Probably. Comforting. But he reached out, his fingers brushing my jaw in a mirror of Ashton's earlier touch. You really have no idea, do you? No idea about what? My heart was doing that thing again, beating too fast against my ribs. How extraordinary you are. His thumb traced my lower lip, and I forgot how to breathe. Standing here, terrified but not running, sarcastic even when you're overwhelmed, fighting to stay yourself despite everything. I'm not extraordinary, I'm just stubborn. Same thing. River's arms tightened around me, his nose brushing the side of my neck. God, you smell good. I smell like rest stop bathroom soap and anxiety. But my voice came out breathless because River was scenting me, his breath warm against my skin, and it felt way too good. You smell like ours. Ashton's hand slid from my face to the back of my neck, fingers tangling in my hair. Like you were always meant to be here. The three of them surrounded me, not threatening but definitely overwhelming, and I felt heat curl low in my stomach. This was too much, too fast, too everything. I should pull away, establish boundaries, be sensible. I didn't want to be sensible. This is a bad idea. Even as I said it, I was leaning into River's hold, tilting my head to give him better access to my neck. Terrible idea. Damon agreed, but he was leaning closer, his eyes dark and intent. Want to do it anyway? That depends on what it is. My hands came up, fisting in Ashton's shirt without conscious thought. Because if you're asking what I think you're asking, I need you to spell it out. I'm not good at guessing games. We want to kiss you. River's voice was rough, strained. All of us, but only if you wanted to. My brain short-circuited, just completely stopped working for a solid 3 seconds. Then it came back online, and I heard myself laugh, slightly hysterical. You want permission? You're Alpha Kings who could literally command me, and you're asking permission? Always. Ashton's grip on my hair tightened. Not painful, but possessive. You're not a thing to be commanded, Eli. You're our mate. Our equal. I'm nobody's equal, especially not yours. Wrong. Damon's hand cupped my face, tilting it toward him. But we can argue about that later. Right now I'm asking, can I kiss you? I should say no. Should establish that this was moving too fast, that I needed time, space, clarity. Should be the responsible one because clearly nobody else was going to be. Yes. His smile was devastating, all sharp edges and dark promise. Then his mouth was on mine, and thinking became optional. He kissed like he did everything else, intense and deliberate, like he was learning me through touch. His lips were softer than I expected, his tongue tracing my bottom lip until I opened for him. Heat exploded through my chest, my hands tightening on Ashton's shirt as Damon deepened the kiss. Oh, oh no. This was dangerous. This was addictive. This was everything I'd never let myself want because wanting led to hurting. And I was so tired of hurting. Damon pulled back, his breathing uneven, his pupils blown wide. Holy hell. Yeah, my voice was wrecked. That. River made a desperate sound against my neck. My turn. He spun me in his arms before I could process, and then I was facing him, his gray eyes stormed dark and hungry. His kiss was different, gentler, but no less consuming, like he was savoring rather than claiming. His hands cradled my face, thumbs stroking my cheekbones, and I melted into him. Somewhere behind me, Ashton made a low sound that went straight to my gut. You're killing us. I broke away from River, gasping. I'm killing you? You're the ones who started this, and we're going to finish it. Ashton turned me to face him, and the look in his dark eyes made my knees weak. Unless you want to stop, tell me to stop, Eli. I really should. That's not an answer. His hand slid up my spine, leaving fire in its wake. Yes or no? Yes. The word came out stronger than I felt. Don't stop. His kiss was different from both Damon's and River's, controlled but barely, like he was holding himself back with effort. His teeth caught my lower lip, not hard enough to hurt, but enough to make me gasp. And he took advantage, his tongue sliding against mine in a way that made my entire body light up. I was drowning in sensation, in heat and scent, in the feeling of being wanted by three impossibly perfect alphas. It was too much and not enough, overwhelming and addictive, and I wanted more, even though I knew I shouldn't. When Ashton finally pulled back, we were all breathing hard. I felt flushed, disheveled, completely undone by 3 kisses. That was cheating. How is that cheating? River's arms came around my waist, pulling me back against his chest. Because now I can't think straight. I leaned into him, my legs shaky. And I need to think. This is all happening too fast. We can slow down. Damon's hand found mine, threading our fingers together. We can do whatever you need. What I need is to not spontaneously combust. Also maybe some water, and possibly a new brain, because mine just melted. Ashton laughed, the sound warm and genuine. I'll get you water. New brain might be harder to source. He moved toward what I assumed was the bedroom, leaving me with River and Damon. I turned to look at them, finding matching expressions of satisfaction mixed with restraint. You're all way too pleased with yourselves. Can you blame us? Damon's smile was smug. We've been wondering what you'd taste like since the moment our wolves chose you. And? I hated how breathless I sounded. And you're perfect. River's lips brushed my temple. Better than we imagined. I'm really not. But my protest was weak, undermined by the way I was still leaning against him. Ashton returned with a glass of water, pressing it into my hand. Drink, before you pass out. I'm not going to pass out. I took a sip anyway, the cool water helping clear my head slightly. I'm just recalibrating my entire understanding of my life. How's that going? Damon asked, amused. Terrible. Everything I thought I knew is wrong. And apparently I have 3 mates who kiss like they're trying to ruin me for anyone else. Mission accomplished, by the way. River's laugh vibrated through his chest into my back. Good, that was the plan. Devious. I finished the water, setting the glass on a nearby table. So what happens now? We just pretend that didn't happen and go about our evening? We could. Ashton's hand found my hip, his touch possessive. Or we could acknowledge that it happened and will probably happen again. Frequently. That's terrifying. Why? River's voice was gentle. Because I don't know how to do this. Be with people who actually want me. I keep waiting for the catch, for the moment you realize I'm not worth the effort. There's no catch. Damon moved closer, bracketing me between the three of them again. You're stuck with us, Eli. Better get used to it. Stuck with you? That's one way to put it. How would you put it? Ashton asked. I looked at each of them in turn, these alpha kings who'd stolen me from everything I knew and offered me everything I'd never dared want. They were watching me with expressions that made my chest tight, like I mattered, like I was precious. Chosen, I'd say I was chosen. The word hung between us, heavy with meaning. River's arms tightened around me, Damon's hand squeezed mine, and Ashton's eyes went impossibly soft. Yeah, Ashton's voice was rough. Chosen. A knock on the door broke the moment. Margaret's voice filtered through. Your Majesties, I have refreshments. Come in, Damon called, not moving away from me. Margaret entered carrying a tray loaded with food, sandwiches and fruit and pastries that smelled incredible. Her eyes flicked over our positions, me surrounded by three alphas who were clearly not trying to be subtle, and her expression didn't change. Either she was amazing at hiding shock, or this was normal for them. I'll leave this here. She set the tray on the coffee table. Dinner is still at 7, but I thought you might need something sooner. Her eyes found mine. Particularly you, Eli. You look rather overwhelmed. That's the polite version. Her lips twitched. I like you. You're going to shake things up around here. Is that good or bad? Good. She headed for the door, pausing at the threshold. This place could use some shaking. Welcome home, Eli. The door closed behind her, and I stared at it. Home. Yeah, River pressed a kiss to my shoulder. Home. I wasn't sure I believed it yet, but standing there, surrounded by three alphas who looked at me like I hung the moon, I thought maybe I could learn to. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was enough for about 30 seconds, right until my stomach growled loud enough to echo in the suite. All three of them looked at me, and I felt heat creep up my neck. I might have skipped breakfast. And lunch? Ashton's eyebrow raised. When did you last eat? Yesterday? I tried to remember. There was a granola bar involved, maybe. Yesterday. Damon's voice was flat, dangerous. You haven't eaten in over 24 hours. I was busy. First there was the fox, then the choosing, then the existential crisis in a moving vehicle. Food wasn't exactly a priority. It's a priority now. River released me, gently steering me toward the couch. Sit, eat. I can feed myself, I'm not helpless. But I sat anyway because my legs were still shaky and the food smelled incredible. I reached for a sandwich, some kind of fancy thing with roasted vegetables and cheese that probably had a French name. The first bite was heaven. I might have made an embarrassing sound. Good? River settled next to me, his thigh pressing against mine. It's fine. Okay, it's amazing. But don't let it go to your head. Damon sat on my other side, stealing a strawberry from the tray. Too late. Everything goes to our heads. We're alpha kings. Humility isn't our strong suit. I've noticed. I took another bite, trying to ignore how aware I was of both of them flanking me. So what happens now? You feed me fancy sandwiches and pretend I fit into your world? You do fit. Ashton remained standing, watching us with an expression I couldn't read. You just don't see it yet. Because it's not true. I set down the sandwich, appetite fading despite my empty stomach. I'm not royal material. I don't know the rules, the politics, how to act around important people. The first time I meet your court, I'm going to embarrass all of you. Impossible. River's hand found my knee, warm and grounding. You couldn't embarrass us if you tried. Want to bet? I once told a visiting alpha that his cologne smelled like dead fish, to his face, at a formal dinner. Damon choked on his strawberry. Please tell me you're joking. I wish I was. He'd been wearing this horrible scent, and I have this thing where I just say what I'm thinking sometimes, and it just came out. I covered my face with my hands. My pack alpha almost had a stroke. The visiting alpha left the next day. What happened to you? River's voice was careful. Extra kitchen duty for a month, and a very stern lecture about appropriate omega behavior. It didn't stick, obviously. Good. Ashton moved closer, his hand settling on my shoulder. We don't want appropriate. We want you. You say that now. I drop my hands, looking at each of them. But when I inevitably say something wrong or offend someone important, you're going to regret this. We won't. Damon's certainty was absolute. And if anyone gets offended by your honesty, that's their problem. A phone buzzed, cutting through the moment. Ashton pulled his from his pocket, his expression darkening as he read the screen. What is it? River asked. The council wants a meeting. Tonight. Ashton's jaw tightened. They're demanding we explain the choosing. By explain, you mean justify why you picked the broken omega? Don't call yourself that. His voice was sharp, almost angry. You're not broken. That's what they think, what everyone thinks. I stood, suddenly needing distance. This is exactly what I was talking about. You can't just tell them to deal with it. They're going to make this difficult. Let them. Damon rose too, predatory and calm. We've dealt with difficult before. Not like this. I moved to the windows, staring out at the grounds. I'm a liability, a weakness they can exploit. You're a strength they don't understand yet. River's reflection appeared in the glass behind me. There's a difference. Is there? I turned to face them, my back against the cool glass. Because from where I'm standing, I'm about to make your lives exponentially harder. Ashton's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it, his expression going cold. They want to meet in an hour, in the council chambers. Then go. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Do what you need to do. We're not leaving you alone on your first day here. River shook his head. They can wait. They're the council. They probably can't wait. And honestly, I could use some time to process everything without 3 overwhelming alphas watching my every reaction. Damon studied me, those dark eyes seeing too much. You're not getting rid of us that easily. I'm not trying to get rid of you. I'm trying to give you space to do your jobs without worrying about the Omega who doesn't know what he's doing. I crossed my arms. Go deal with the council. I'll be fine here. Will you? Ashton moved closer, his presence intense. Or will you spiral into that head of yours and convince yourself this was all a mistake? Maybe. Honest. His hand cupped my face. At least you're honest. It's kind of my only redeeming quality. I leaned into his touch despite myself. That and my sparkling personality. River laughed, soft and warm. Your personality is definitely sparkling, among other things. The phone buzzed a third time. Ashton sighed, the sound heavy. We have to go. The council won't accept any more delays. Then go. I pulled away from his hand, moving toward the couch. I'll eat more fancy food and try not to break anything expensive. Eli. Damon's voice stopped me. We're coming back. This isn't us leaving you. I know. I do know that, logically. The rest of me is still catching up. Fair enough. He crossed to me, pressing a quick kiss to my forehead. We'll be back before dinner. Don't do anything reckless while we're gone. Me? Reckless? Never. River kissed me next, lingering longer, his lips soft against mine. Behave. That's even less likely than not being reckless. Ashton was last, his kiss possessive and brief. If you need anything, Margaret will help, and the wolves are staying with you. I glanced over to where their 3 wolves had been lying near the fireplace. So still I'd almost forgotten they were there. 3 pairs of eyes watched me with unsettling intelligence. Great, supernatural babysitters. Protection, Ashton corrected, not babysitting. Feels like babysitting. But I didn't argue further. They needed to go, and I needed space to breathe without their overwhelming presence, making it impossible to think straight. They left together, a unit moving with purpose, and the door clicked shut behind them. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood there for a long moment, surrounded by luxury I didn't deserve, marked by kisses I hadn't earned, and tried to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do now. The black wolf, Ashton's, rose and padded over to me. It sat directly in front of me, massive head tilted, studying me with mercury eyes. "So," I looked down at it, "this is weird, right? You agree this is weird?" The wolf made a low sound, not quite a growl, more like agreement, or possibly hunger. Hard to tell. "I don't know what I'm doing. Your alphas seem to think I'm something special, but I'm just me. Eli Morgan, professional disappointment and animal whisperer." The wolf bumped its head against my hand, and I realized it wanted me to pet it. I did, my fingers sinking into thick fur, and felt that same strange connection I'd felt during the choosing. Understanding, without words. "You really chose me, didn't you? It wasn't a mistake." The wolf's eyes held mine, and I felt its certainty like a physical thing. No mistake, never a mistake. "Okay," I breathed out slowly. "Okay, so maybe I can do this. Maybe I can be what they need." The gray wolf and silver wolf joined us, pressing close on either side, surrounding me with warmth and the scent of pine and winter storms. Protection, acceptance, family. I sank down onto the floor, letting them surround me, and for the first time since this insanity started, I felt something close to peace. The triplets were dealing with a council that probably hated me. Margaret thought I was going to shake things up, and I had no idea how to be anyone's mate. But I had 3 wolves who'd chosen me, 3 alphas who kissed like they meant it, and a fancy suite that Margaret called home. I can work with this. The black wolf made that agreeing sound again, its head resting on my knee. The other 2 pressed closer, and I sat there on the floor of my new home, surrounded by supernatural creatures who saw something in me I couldn't quite see yet. But maybe I'd learn. The windows showed the sun sinking lower, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Somewhere in this massive estate, 3 alpha kings were defending their choice to a council that didn't understand. And here I was, sitting on the floor with their wolves, eating stolen strawberries from the fancy tray, trying to figure out how to be brave enough to deserve this. Maybe bravery would come later. For now, I just had to survive dinner without embarrassing myself. I pulled out my phone, staring at the screen. No messages, no missed calls. Nobody from Ashwood Falls wondering where I'd gone. Nobody would miss me there. But here, 3 alphas had literally stopped everything to claim me, had kissed me like I mattered, had promised to come back. I set the phone aside and grabbed another sandwich. The wolves settled around me, warm and protective, and I let myself exist in this strange new reality. One moment at a time. One moment at a time lasted about 15 minutes before I got bored. The wolves were excellent company, don't get me wrong, but they weren't exactly conversationalists. And sitting on the floor eating sandwiches while 3 alpha kings defended my existence to a hostile council felt cowardly, passive, like I was hiding while they fought my battles. I've never been good at hiding. I stood, brushing crumbs off my jeans. The black wolf's head lifted, mercury eyes tracking my movement. "I'm just going to explore a little. That's allowed, right?" I looked at all 3 wolves. "I live here now. Might as well know where things are." The silver wolf made a low sound that could have been agreement or warning. Hard to tell. I chose to interpret it as agreement and headed for the door. The hallway outside the suite was empty, all polished wood and expensive artwork. I turned left because it felt like the opposite direction from where we'd come, and started walking. My footsteps echoed on the hardwood, the wolves padding silently behind me. I passed more doors, all closed, all probably leading to rooms I had no business entering. At the end of the hall, a window overlooked the back gardens, and I stopped to look out. The grounds were even more impressive from up here, sprawling and meticulously maintained. A prison made of flowers and privilege. Bit dramatic, Morgan, I muttered to myself. Nobody's keeping you prisoner. Are you sure about that? I spun around, heart jumping into my throat. A woman stood behind me, appearing from God knows where. She was stunning in that effortless way some people just are. Tall and elegant with dark hair and eyes that assessed me like I was a bug she'd found in her salad. Who are you? Vivian Cross, head advisor to the council. Her smile was sharp. And you must be the Omega who's caused such chaos today. Eli Morgan, professional chaos causer. I crossed my arms, ignoring how the wolves had moved to flank me, protective. Can I help you with something? I was curious. She moved closer, her heels clicking on the wood. The triplets have refused every suitable Omega for 5 years. Then they choose some nobody from a backwater pack. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. And? Satisfied your curiosity? Not yet. She circled me slowly, like a predator evaluating prey. You're not particularly impressive. Ordinary looks, no notable lineage, no special skills that I can see. What exactly do you offer 3 Alpha Kings? The insult landed exactly where she intended, sharp and cutting. I felt the wolves tense, low growls building in their chests. Part of me wanted to let them handle this. The other part, the part that had survived years of being underestimated, straightened my spine. Honestly, I met her eyes. I have no idea, but their wolves seem pretty sure about it, and I'm inclined to trust their judgment over yours. Her expression flickered, surprise and irritation warring. Bold. That might work in a provincial pack, but here, the court will eat you alive. Good thing I'm not particularly digestible. Look, I get it. You don't think I'm good enough. Join the club. There's membership cards and everything. This isn't a joke, her voice sharpened. You're a liability, a weak point enemies can exploit. The triplets are powerful, but even they can't protect you from everything. I don't need protecting. The words came out harder than intended. I've survived this long without 3 Alpha Kings. I'll manage. Will you? She leaned in, her scent overwhelming and deliberately aggressive. When the court tears you apart, when you realize you don't belong in this world, when the triplets' enemies use you to get to them, the gray wolf snapped its teeth, a clear warning. Vivian stepped back, her composure cracking slightly. Control your animals. They're not mine to control. And honestly, they have better judgment than most people I've met. You're making a mistake. Her eyes were cold. This isn't some fairy tale where the nobody Omega becomes royalty. This is politics and power, and you're out of your depth. You're probably right, I shrugged. But I'm here anyway, so you can either deal with it, or you can waste your time trying to convince me I don't belong. Either way, I'm not leaving. Something shifted in her expression. Calculation. We'll see how long that confidence lasts. She turned and walked away, heels clicking a sharp rhythm on the wood. I watched her go, my heart pounding, hands shaking slightly from the adrenaline. That went well. The black wolf pressed against my leg, warm and solid. I buried my hand in its fur, grounding myself. She's right, you know. My voice cracked slightly. I am out of my depth. I have no idea what I'm doing. His hands framing my face. What happened? The wolves sent us alarm through the bond. Nothing, I'm fine. I tried for casual and probably missed by a mile. Just met Vivian Cross. She seems nice. Vivian was here? Damon's voice was dangerous. What did she say? The usual. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. I'm going to get you all killed or embarrassed or both. Standard welcome wagon stuff. River's jaw clenched. She had no right to approach you alone. She had every right. This is her territory as much as yours. I stepped back from Ashton's touch, needing space. And she wasn't wrong about any of it. Yes, she was. Ashton's eyes blazed. About all of it. Was she? My voice rose despite my best efforts. Because I am out of my depth. I don't know the rules, the politics, how to navigate this world. And you three are going to spend all your time defending me instead of doing whatever it is Alpha Kings are supposed to do. We're supposed to protect our mate. Damon moved closer. That's exactly what Alpha Kings do. I don't want to be a burden you have to protect. The words tore out of me, raw and honest. I want to be an actual partner, someone who adds value instead of just taking up space. The three of them went very still. Then River spoke, his voice soft. Is that what you think? That you're a burden? I don't know what I think anymore. The council meeting, Ashton's expression shifted to understanding. It didn't go well, did it? It went exactly as expected. Damon's tone was bitter. They demanded we reject the choosing, said you weren't suitable, threatened to petition the High Council for intervention. My stomach dropped. They can do that? They can try. River's hand found mine. It won't work. The choosing is sacred law, but they can make things difficult. So Vivian was right. I'm a liability. Maybe I should just go back to Ashwood Falls, make this easier for everyone. No, all three of them said it simultaneously, the word echoing in the hallway. You're not leaving. Ashton's voice was absolute. We meant what we said. You're ours. Even if it costs you politically? Even if the council makes your lives hell? I pulled my hand from River's. I'm not worth that. You are. Damon stepped into my space, his presence overwhelming. And anyone who says otherwise answers to us. That's not sustainable. You can't just threaten everyone who disagrees with you. Watch us. His smile was sharp, dangerous. You think we became Alpha Kings by playing nice? By letting people dictate our choices? I think you became Alpha Kings by being smart, and keeping me isn't smart. It's the smartest thing we've ever done. River's voice was fierce. You just can't see it yet. Because there's nothing to see. My voice cracked. I'm just some Omega who talks to animals. That's not special. That's not worth fighting a council over. Ashton grabbed my shoulders, forcing me to look at him. You saved a wounded fox this morning instead of securing your position at the choosing. You called Marcus out for his cruelty. You told Vivian Cross to deal with it when she tried to intimidate you. You're standing here, terrified and overwhelmed, and you're still fighting. His grip tightened. That's worth everything. You don't know that. We do. His forehead pressed against mine. Our wolves know it. Our instincts know it. And sooner or later, you'll know it too. I wanted to believe him, wanted to believe all of them. But Vivian's words echoed in my head, mixing with years of being told I wasn't enough. What if I can't do this? My voice was barely audible. What if I fail? Then we fail together. River's arms came around me from behind. But you won't. You're stronger than you think. I'm really not. Prove it. Damon's challenge was soft but unmistakable. Stay. Fight. Show them all exactly what we see in you. And what if what you see isn't real? It's real. Ashton's lips brushed my forehead. Trust us. Trust yourself. The wolves pressed close, surrounding us in warmth and certainty. I stood there, caught between 3 Alpha Kings and 3 supernatural creatures, all of them absolutely sure I was worth keeping. I don't know how to trust. Learn. River's breath ghosted across my neck. We'll teach you. I closed my eyes, letting their presence wash over me. The fear didn't disappear, the doubt didn't vanish, but underneath it all, buried deep, was something small and fragile. Hope. Okay, I opened my eyes. Okay, I'll try. That's all we ask. Ashton's smile was soft, genuine. Just try. Just try, which sounded simple until I remembered I had approximately zero idea what I was trying to do. But before I could spiral into that particular anxiety, Ashton's phone buzzed again. He pulled it out, his expression darkening as he read. "What now?" I asked, already knowing I wouldn't like the answer. "Formal dinner. Tonight. The council is demanding we present you to the court." His jaw clenched. "They're not wasting any time." Of course they're not. "We can refuse." Damon's voice was hard. "Tell them you need more time to settle in." Which would just prove Vivian right, that I can't handle this. I pulled away from them, pacing the hallway. How bad can one dinner be? Eli, River's tone was careful. Court dinners are strategic warfare disguised as etiquette. Everyone will be watching, judging, looking for weaknesses. So basically like eating lunch in the Ashwood Falls pack house, but with fancier silverware. I've survived worse. Have you? Ashton studied me. Because these people are professionals at tearing down anyone they see as a threat. And right now, you're their biggest threat. Me? I'm nobody's threat. You're an unknown who has the Triplet Alpha Kings wrapped around your finger after one day. Damon's smile was sharp. That makes you the most dangerous person in the building. I don't have you wrapped around anything. Don't you? River moved closer, his gray eyes intense. We left a council meeting mid-argument because the wolves sensed you were distressed. We're ready to go to war with our own advisors over you. You've completely upended our lives in the span of hours. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. If that's not having us wrapped around your finger, I don't know what is. My heart did that uncomfortable stutter thing. That's different. How? Because that's just you being protective, instinct, the bond or whatever. I stepped back, needing distance to think. It's not actually about me. All three of them looked at each other, then back at me. Ashton spoke first. You really believe that? That this is just instinct? What else would it be? You don't know me. You can't possibly actually care about someone you met this morning. Nobody works that fast. The bond works that fast. River's voice was gentle. But you're right. We don't know everything about you. We don't know your favorite color, or what makes you laugh, or what you dream about. He paused. But we know you're brave enough to save a fox when everyone else is playing politics. We know you're honest even when it costs you. We know you challenge us instead of just agreeing to keep the peace. That's enough to build on. What if it's not? What if you learn the rest and decide it's not worth it? Then we'll deal with it. Damon's bluntness was almost refreshing. But hiding who you are isn't going to help anyone. I'm not hiding, I'm just realistic. I crossed my arms. You want me at this dinner? Fine, but don't expect me to be something I'm not. We don't. Ashton checked his phone again. Dinner is in 2 hours. Margaret will help you get ready. Get ready? I looked down at my jeans and t-shirt. What's wrong with what I'm wearing? Nothing if we were having casual dinner in the suite. River's lips twitched. But formal court dinner requires formal attire. Of course it does, because nothing says welcome to the family like forcing someone into uncomfortable clothes. Think of it as armor. Damon's eyes glittered. You're going into battle. Might as well look the part. Comforting. But I followed them back toward the suite, the wolves trailing behind. So what exactly happens at these dinners, besides judgment and psychological warfare? Multiple courses, endless small talk, people asking invasive questions disguised as polite conversation. Ashton held open the suite door. The goal is to survive without giving them ammunition to use against you. No pressure then. Margaret was already in the suite, hanging something in what I assumed was the bedroom. She emerged looking brisk and efficient. Good, you're back. We have 2 hours, which is barely enough time. She looked me up and down. Come on, let's get you presentable. I'm not that bad, I protested, even as she steered me toward the bedroom. You're fine, but fine doesn't survive court dinner. She pushed me through the door. Strip. We need to start with a shower. I showered this morning, and then spent the day traveling, meeting wolves, and having what I assume were several minor panic attacks. Her expression softened slightly. Trust me, this will help. The triplets were watching from the doorway, amused. I glared at them. Enjoying yourselves? Immensely. Damon's grin was unrepentant. You look terrified. I am terrified. Margaret is scarier than all three of you combined. But I was already moving toward the bathroom because she was right. I did need to shower and possibly scream into a towel. The bathroom was, predictably, obscene. Marble everything, a shower that looked like it belonged in a spa, and a tub I could probably swim in. I locked the door and leaned against it. You can do this. It's just dinner. People eat dinner all the time. Except it wasn't just dinner. It was a test, a performance, a chance for everyone to confirm what they already believed, that I didn't belong here. I stripped and stepped into the shower, letting hot water wash away some of the tension. The soap smelled expensive, all cedar and something herbal I couldn't name. I tried not to think about how much everything in this bathroom probably cost. Tried not to imagine all the ways I could fail tonight. Failed at both. When I finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that was softer than anything I'd ever owned, Margaret was waiting with clothes laid out on the bed. Not a suit, thank God, but tailored pants in deep charcoal and a shirt in silvery gray that looked simultaneously casual and expensive. This is what I'm wearing? I touched the fabric carefully. It's nice. It's strategic. She handed me the pants. Gray and silver are the pack colors. Wearing them sends a message that you're already part of the family. Am I? The question came out smaller than intended. Margaret's expression softened. The triplets chose you. The wolves claimed you. You're as much pack as anyone here, whether the council likes it or not. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone who'd hate me for not being good enough. I pulled on the pants. They fit perfectly, which meant someone had guessed my size. Someone who'd make me feel small. I don't waste energy on hate. She helped me with the shirt, buttoning it with efficient movements. And I've seen enough royal mates come and go to know the ones worth keeping. You're worth keeping. You can't possibly know that. You just met me. I know the triplets haven't smiled this much in years. I know they left a council meeting for you. I know you stood up to Vivian Cross without backing down. She stepped back, assessing. That's enough for me. The door opened and the triplets walked in, all of them dressed in formal attire that made my mouth go dry. They looked devastating, all sharp lines and controlled power. Holy hell! The words escaped before I could stop them. River laughed. I'll take that as approval. You look good. Ashton's eyes traveled over me slowly. Really good. It's just clothes, but I felt heat creep up my neck under his scrutiny. It's you, Damon corrected. The clothes are just packaging. Margaret made a satisfied sound. Hair next. Sit. I sat on the edge of the bed while she worked her magic, running product through my hair and styling it into something that looked effortlessly tousled. When she finally stepped back, I caught my reflection in the mirror across the room. I looked different, still me but polished, like someone who might actually belong at a royal dinner. I don't recognize myself. Good. Margaret packed away her supplies. Tonight, you're not the Omega from Ashwood Falls. You're the mate of 3 Alpha Kings. Act like it. How do I do that when I don't feel like it? Fake it. Her smile was sharp. Confidence is half performance anyway. A knock on the door interrupted whatever response I might have had. Ashton opened it to reveal Vivian Cross, her expression neutral. The court is gathering. It's time. Showtime. River's hand found mine, threading our fingers together. Ready? Absolutely not. But I stood anyway. Let's get this over with. We walked toward the door together, toward dinner and judgment and whatever else the court had planned. My heart was hammering, my palms sweating despite Margaret's confidence. This was either going to be fine, or it was going to be a complete disaster. Ashton's hand settled on my lower back as we stepped into the hallway. Whatever happens, we're right here with you. That's what worries me, I looked up at him. If I fail, I take all three of you down with me. Then don't fail. Damon's smile was challenging. Show them what we see in you. And if what you see isn't really there, it is. River squeezed my hand. Trust us. We walked down the hallway toward the formal dining room and whatever waited beyond those doors. I just hoped their trust wasn't misplaced. But hope wasn't exactly a currency I dealt in much. The dining room doors loomed ahead, massive and ornate, and I could hear voices beyond them. Lots of voices. My grip on River's hand tightened involuntarily. Breathe. His thumb stroked my knuckles. In through your nose, out through your mouth. I know how to breathe. I've been doing it for 22 years. It's the not panicking part I'm struggling with. Damon moved to my other side, creating a wall of alpha protection. You've got this. Just be yourself. Myself got extra kitchen duty and a lecture about dead fish cologne. But I straightened my spine, lifted my chin. Okay, let's do this before I lose my nerve entirely. The doors opened and sound hit me like a physical wave. The dining room was packed with what had to be 50 people, all dressed in formal attire, all turning to stare as we entered. The wolves padded in behind us, their presence both comforting and surreal. Everyone is looking at me. Of course they are. Ashton's voice was low, meant only for me. You're the most interesting thing to happen here in years. I'm the most catastrophic thing to happen here in years. But I kept walking, following their lead toward a raised table at the far end. The head table. Because apparently I was important enough to sit at the head table now. The crowd parted for us, conversations dying as we passed. I caught fragments of whispers. That's him? Not what I expected. Poor thing has no idea what he's in for. I have some idea, actually, but thanks for the vote of confidence. We reached the head table, and I realized with mounting horror that I'd be sitting in the center, flanked by the triplets. On display. The guest of honor at my own trial. Ashton pulled out a chair for me, the gesture surprisingly gentle. I sat because standing forever wasn't an option, and River and Damon took the seats on either side, while Ashton claimed the chair to River's left. A man stood at the far end of the table, older and distinguished with silver hair and the kind of face that belonged on currency. He raised a glass, commanding instant silence. Welcome, everyone, to this historic dinner. Tonight we celebrate the choosing and the Triplet Alpha Kings' new mate. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Eli Morgan, we're honored to have you join us. You are absolutely not honored. But sure, let's pretend. Thank you. My voice carried further than expected in the sudden quiet. I'm honored to be here. Lie, total lie. But Margaret said confidence was performance, so performance it was. The man continued, I'm Elder Marcus. I lead the council, and on behalf of everyone here, I want to welcome you to court. Elder Marcus. Of course his name was Marcus. Apparently the universe had a sick sense of humor. That's kind of you, Elder Marcus. I managed something approximating a smile, though I suspect not everyone shares your welcoming spirit. A ripple of shock moved through the room. River's hand found my knee under the table, squeezing in what might have been warning or support. Elder Marcus's expression flickered. Direct. I appreciate that. May I ask what makes you think you're not welcome? Well, your head advisor ambushed me in a hallway earlier to tell me I was a liability and out of my depth. So that was a hint. I kept my tone light. conversational. Plus, the whole demanding they reject the choosing thing kind of gave it away. The silence that followed was absolute. You could have heard a pin drop, or possibly my career as a royal maid imploding. Damon's laugh broke the tension, warm and genuinely amused. I told you he had bite. You did, Ashton's voice held approval, though perhaps we should have warned everyone else. Elder Marcus recovered his composure. Vivian can be enthusiastic in her protection of tradition. I apologize if she overstepped. She didn't overstep. She was honest. I met his eyes. I appreciate honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Interesting. He sat down, signaling for others to do the same. Then let me be honest. Many here question whether you're suitable for this role. You have no political training, no significant connections, no obvious assets that would benefit the crown. Here we go. You're right. I felt River tense beside me but pushed forward. I don't have training or connections. I grew up in a small pack where my biggest contribution was rescuing injured animals and being the designated weirdo. Then why should we accept you? A woman's voice, sharp and challenging, from somewhere in the crowd. You shouldn't. The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. If you're looking for someone polished and political who knows all the right things to say, I'm not it. I'll probably embarrass you. I'll definitely say the wrong thing at the wrong time. I'm not suitable by any traditional measure. Ashton's hand found my shoulder, steady and grounding. I covered it with mine, drawing strength. But the wolves chose me, and I don't know why. I don't understand what they saw, but I'm trying to figure it out. So you can accept me or not. You can make this easy or hard, but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere, so we might as well find a way to make this work. The silence stretched like taffy. Then someone started clapping. Slow, deliberate applause from the back of the room. I turned to see Margaret, standing near the wall with the household staff, her expression proud. Others joined in, tentatively at first, then with more conviction. Not everyone. Elder Marcus looked thoughtful rather than approving, and Vivian Cross's expression was unreadable. But enough people that my heart rate slowed from panic to mere terror. Well, Elder Marcus raised his glass again. To honesty, then, and to new beginnings. To new beginnings, the room echoed, voices overlapping. Servers appeared with the first course, some kind of soup that smelled incredible. I picked up my spoon, trying to remember which utensil went with what course, and felt River's hand squeeze my knee again. That was either brilliant or insane. His voice was pitched for my ears only. Probably both. I took a sip of soup, grateful for something to do with my hands. Did I just make everything worse? No, Damon leaned in from my other side. You made it interesting. The dinner progressed through multiple courses, each more elaborate than the last. People approached the head table between courses, introducing themselves, asking careful questions that felt like tests. I answered as honestly as I could, which seemed to surprise more than offend. A young beta named Lucas asked about my abilities with animals. Instead of deflecting, I told him about the fox, about how I'd always been able to sense what they needed. That's rare. His eyes were wide, curious. Most people lose that sensitivity after childhood. Most people learn to ignore it, I shrugged. I never did, probably because animals made more sense than people. He laughed, genuine and warm. I can relate to that. An older Omega named Patricia asked how I was adjusting. Instead of lying, I admitted I was terrified and had no idea what I was doing. Good. Her smile was kind. Anyone who isn't terrified in your position is either foolish or lying. At least you're honest about it. By the time dessert arrived, some kind of chocolate creation that probably had a French name, I'd spoken to at least 20 people. Some were hostile, some curious, some surprisingly kind. And through it all, the triplets stayed close, their presence a constant reassurance. Elder Marcus stood again as dessert was cleared. Before we conclude, I have one more question for our guest of honor. Of course you do. What do you hope to bring to this position? What do you see as your role here? I set down my fork, considering. Every eye in the room was on me again, waiting. Honestly, I have no idea. The admission felt dangerous but necessary. I don't know what a royal mate is supposed to do. I don't know the rules or expectations. I looked at the triplets, at these three alphas who'd chosen me despite every logical reason not to. But I know what the wolves saw in me. Someone who wouldn't change themselves to fit a mold. Someone who'd be honest even when it was hard. Someone who'd stand beside them as an equal, not a decoration. I turned back to Elder Marcus. So that's what I'll try to be. Honest, present, myself. And if that's not good enough, then we'll all figure out what happens next, together. But I'm done apologizing for not being what you expected. This is who I am. Take it or leave it. The room erupted. Some in approval, some in shock, some in what looked like outright anger. But before anyone could respond, all three triplets stood as one. We take it. Ashton's voice cut through the noise. We chose Eli knowing exactly who he is. Honest, brave, absolutely himself. That's exactly what we need, what this court needs. Anyone who disagrees is welcome to bring their concerns to us directly. Damon's smile was sharp, dangerous. We're always happy to discuss matters of importance. But understand this. River's gray eyes swept the room. Eli is ours, our mate, our choice, our family. Challenging him challenges us. Oh, the message was clear. The triplets were drawing a line in the sand, and I was standing firmly on their side of it. Elder Marcus studied us for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Understood. Thank you all for attending. This dinner is concluded. People began to disperse, conversations starting up again. The triplets closed ranks around me, and Ashton leaned down to whisper in my ear. Let's get you out of here. Did I just start a war? My voice shook slightly. No. His arm came around my waist, solid and grounding. You just won one. We made it back to the suite without incident, the wolves following silently. The moment the door closed behind us, I sagged against it, all the adrenaline draining at once. I can't believe I did that. You were perfect. River pulled me into his arms, and I went without resistance. Absolutely perfect. I told them all I was unsuitable and didn't know what I was doing. You told them the truth. Damon's hands settled on my back. That's worth more than any polished performance. Is it? I looked up at them, these three alphas who just defended me in front of their entire court. Because I'm pretty sure I just made your lives exponentially harder. Worth it. Ashton's kiss was soft, brief. You're worth it. You keep saying that. Because it's true. River's gray eyes held mine. And someday you'll believe it too. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. Standing there surrounded by three alphas and their wolves, all of them choosing me despite every reason not to, I felt something shift in my chest. Not quite belief, not yet, but maybe the beginning of it. Thank you. The words came out rough, emotional. For defending me, for not giving up on me. Never. Damon's hand cupped my face. You're ours, Eli, now and always. Yours. The word felt right, like coming home, like maybe, possibly, I'd found where I belonged. The end. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed it, you'll definitely love the next one. It's even wilder and more intriguing than you can imagine, so be sure to check it out and hit subscribe. The next story drops soon.